My name is Kate Jones, and today I'm going to be doing a deeper analysis of the School of Athens by Raphael. These first few images here are meant to give us an idea of what surrounds the School of Athens. Here we see that beautiful archway with the artwork around the actual work of art. We see the sculptures below the actual work of art, and we see the different tile artworks on the floor. There's a whole elaborate scheme of things going on around it that we really need to acknowledge. And here you kind of see the outside architecture from the rest of the room building into the artwork itself. Here we actually see the architecture in the School of Athens itself. We start to see all these archways and these carvings at the top and these different pillars. On the left and the right of the archway in the School of Athens that we just looked at, there are two different figures that seem to be etched into the walls. On the left, we have a figure that is glancing off to the right, that has one arm on a pillar and the other arm is holding something. The other figure on the right is on the right side of the artwork. The figure appears to be looking down and is holding a staff of sorts in the right hand and something else in the left hand. One of the figures is fully in the nude, while the other one has garments of sorts covering their body and a headdress as well. Here we have an image that just helps us put together the perspective of the figures in the work of art mixed with the architecture. Starting with the center right side of this painting, we have an array of about 12 different figures all looking towards the middle. The first figure that we see is wearing light yellow and mustard yellow garments, sticking their right hand out with their palm down with an item in their left hand. They have curly brown hair with a curly beard. The next 7 figures are all kind of clustered together, also looking at the middle. We have an array of brown, light, and gray hairs. The main figure is wearing a kind of golden white garment, and the middle one has their palm up towards the center wearing light blue. To the right of them, we see 2 figures facing the back of the painting. One has no hair, the other one has brown hair. One is wearing red garments, and the other one is wearing yellow. Now, right below these 2 figures, we see a figure facing the viewer with his right arm pointed towards the figure in the yellow. The figure in front of him is facing that figure with curly blonde hair and a green garment. Next up, all the way on the right side of the work of art, we see a figure facing towards the camera with his face facing to the right with a lot of facial hair. We have a red head garment going on with all white garments. In the right hand of this figure, we see a sphere that is painted blue with little speckles on it. In front of this figure, we see another figure holding a sphere. This time, this figure is covered in blue, gold, and green garments with a green circle on his head with spikes coming out of the top. This figure has brown curly hair. Immediately to the left of these figures, we see 5 figures that are all pretty much staring down at the same thing. The bottom left figure is wearing a light blue garment, and the figure above them is wearing a green garment with the right hand placed on the other figure with the left hand pointing outwards towards the viewer. The figure to the right of them is facing upwards towards another figure with red hair with a green garment. The figure above this one has their hands out facing down in a blue garment. The figure to the right of all these figures is facing down and pointing towards an object on the ground. This figure has gray hair, yellow, and red garments. Right above these 5 figures, there are 2 figures leaning against the wall of the School of Athens. The figure on the left has one leg placed on the ground and the other leg rested upon that leg. On these legs, they are working on something. Something is in their hands. They are facing completely down. Their hair is gray, and they are wearing red garments. To the right of this figure, there's a figure leaning on the wall with one arm and the other hand placed in that hand. Their head is resting on their hands, and they have brown hair and a purple kind of yellow garment. Moving on to the left side of the painting, to the left of the figure that we discussed before, there is an array of about 8 figures to the left of this one figure in the middle. The figure in the middle has on red and purple garments, right hand is facing towards upwards, and the left hand is holding something under their arm. This figure has gray hair and no hair on their head. To the left, there is a jumble of about 5 figures. All of them are facing towards the middle of the work of art. The one in the front has their arms crossed with blue and white garments. Their hair is light, and the figure to the right is pointing towards the middle of the painting with the other arm around the first figure. The figure to the right of that, or the 3 figures to the right of that, are wearing blue, yellow, and purple garments. The first figure has a blue headpiece on, and they're all facing towards the middle of the painting. Moving on beyond this, there are 4 more figures to the left. The first one has on dark purple garments with long facial hair. There's another figure in the back that is mostly blocked, but they have blonde, curly hair. To the left of this, there is another figure that is pointing their hands out towards the left side of the painting with dark facial hair and dark features. Moving on even further to the left side of the painting, there are three figures that are kind of positioned together. The one on the left is wearing yellow garments, has no head hair, and white facial hair. This figure has something in his hands. The figure to the right of this is wearing light pink garments, and a white cloth is draped on top of him. He's also holding something in his hands and looking down at what he is holding. He has dark facial hair and dark hair. The figure to the right of this is looking upwards to the right of the painting, but is holding something lower than that. To the right of these three figures, there is a figure in all white garments with light hair that is looking directly at the viewer. To the right of this figure, there is another figure that is facing the right of the painting, but facing forward towards the viewer with his body. This character is wearing yellow, red, and blue garments. He is holding something in his hand that he is pointing to. To the right of this, there is another figure that is leaning himself on a podium with something in his hand looking down. This figure is wearing purple garments. Now moving above these figures, we see a figure earlier that we were talking about in the olive green, and now from this perspective we can see that his hands are out and he's pointing up. To the left of this figure, we see another figure that is glancing over to the right side of the painting. This figure has both their hands and arms connected and is leaning on one hand. This figure has red curly hair and is dressed in teal and blue garments. The figures to the left are all looking at the figure in the green. The figure furthest to the left is wearing an outfit of blue and purple garments with gold detailing, and they are also wearing a headdress that is a gold kind of metallic color with something sticking out of the top as well. Directly to the right of this, we see another figure that is looking at the olive green figure, dressed in all red with a dark red headpiece with white detailing. He's blocking another figure behind him with dark facial hair, dark garments, and a kind of fluffy white and brown headpiece.